Hello again, guys. Welcome to the last day of Inertia. We'll finish this up, and I already told you guys on Monday on the conference call or the Zoom meeting for the class what we had going on for the rest of the month and leading up until the last day of school. So I will post that for you guys so you can see an example in case any question comes up about what to do each day or what you guys have to expect or what work you might have coming up. One of the big things you guys have like immediately is today, making sure you hand in the paragraph where you compare the world of inertia using some support, regular CSE paragraph, compared to what we're seeing in the world today. So you're looking for 3 good supports from inertia, and then comparing it to the world we're in right now with quarantine and all this. A lot of pretty strong similarities between the two. Best way to do it, saying how they're similar. Support would be from inertia, and then your explanation would be the connection between that world and the modern world we're looking at today. So have that in by the end of the day today, which is Tuesday. If you were watching the videos, you know that was assigned before the break. So don't say, oh, well, we didn't have to. A lot of time. Get it done. And if you're missing anything up until this point, make sure don't fall behind on it, because there's not that many assignments for this quarter, especially like being wise. There's not a lot of assignments. So make sure you get this stuff together. And then you have group work coming up too. So if you fall behind on the group work and you're not helping your team out, then I'm going to have to take you and put you on your own, which is not going to be easy for a lot of you guys. So get your stuff done and work together. Finish off strong. But anyway, we finished up with Graham was leaving the dance and going back to the house. And then when she got back to the house, she saw something was going on. Now we'll see how the story all wraps up and what exactly the plan is with the illness and the medication they might want to use for it. Don't worry about hearing a movie in the background. It's Turbo, a movie about a racing snail. It's actually very good. Anyway, but I'm wrong. The voices aren't, it's on page 225. The voices aren't Jenny and Peter. Not what I wanted to talk about just now, Mamie says. But it's what I want to talk about. Is it? Yes. I stand listening to the rise and fall of their voices, to the petulance of Mamie's and the eagerness of McCabe's. So McCabe, the doctor, is talking to Mamie, Rachel's mother, and Jenny's legal guardian. Jenny is your ward, isn't she? Oh, Jenny, yeah, for another year. Then she'll listen, which means Jenny is likely 17. Then she'll listen to you, even if your mother, the decision is yours and hers. I guess so, but I want to think about it. I need more information. I'll tell you anything you ask. Will you? Are you married, Dr. McCabe? Silence. Then his voice different. Don't do that. Are you sure? Are you really sure? I'm sure. Really, really sure? Then you want me to stop? I cross the kitchen, hitting my knee against an unseen chair. In the open doorway, a sky full of stars moves into view through the termite hole in the wall. Ow. I said to stop it, Mrs. Wilson. Now please, think about what I said about Jenny. I'll come back tomorrow morning and you can go straight to hell, Mamie shouts. And then in a different voice, strangely calm. Is it because I'm diseased? And you're not? And Jenny's not? No, I swear it no, but I didn't come here for this. No, Mamie says it in the same chill voice, and I realize that I have never heard that voice from her before. Never. You came to help us, to bring a cure, to bring the outside, but not for everybody. Only for those few who aren't too far gone, aren't too ugly, who you can use. It isn't like that. A few who you can rescue, leaving all the rest of us here to rot, like we did before. In time, research on it, time. What do you think time matters inside? Time only matters when someone like you comes in from the outside, showing off your healthy skin and making it even worse than it was before with your whole new clothing and your working watch and your shiny hair and she's sobbing. So I step into the room. All right, Mamie, all right. Neither of them has reacted to seeing me. McCabe just stands there until I wave him towards the door and he goes, not saying a word. I put my arm around Mamie and she leans against my breast and cries. My daughter. Even through my coat, I feel the thick, ropey skin of her cheek pressing against me. And all I could think of is that I never noticed at all McCabe wears a wristwatch. So, Mamie still sees it. Mamie notices. Mamie cares. Graham doesn't. It's all nothing to Graham. Mamie's still there because she feels it a different way. Late that night, after Mamie's fallen into a damp, exhausted sleep, and I have lain awake tossing for hours, Rachel creeps into her room as I say that Jenny and Hal Stevenson have both been injected with the experimental disease cure by Tom McCabe. She's cold and trembling, defiant in her fear, afraid of all the terrible defiance. I hold her until she too sleeps, and I remember Jack Stevenson as a young man, classroom lights glossy on his thick hair, spirited arguing in favor of the sacrifice of one civilian for another. It's a crazy turn of events where Hal, who initially said no, absolutely not, goes along with it, but so does Jenny. And Jenny was kind of on board with it anyway. No Rachel because she's too far gone, more likely than not. So it's this crazy thing that happens where they would follow through, and even Rachel doesn't know how to react to defiance because she's never been that way before. Mamie is defiant, that's her style, but they've never been that way. It's crazy how the outside world came in and infected them and made them think a different way versus the opposite, which is what he's really intending. Mamie leaves the barracks early the next morning. Her eyelid, you wouldn't be surprised why Mamie doesn't want this because of what happened to her husband. He died using that experimental cure. Mamie leaves the barracks early the next morning. Her eyelids still swollen and shiny from last night's crying. I guess she's going to hunt up Peter, and I say nothing. We sit at the table, Rachel and I, eating our oatmeal, not looking at each other. It's an effort to even lift a spoon. Mamie is gone a long time. Later, I picture it. Later, when Jenny and Hal and McCabe have come and gone, I can't stop picturing it. Mamie walking with her swollen eyelids down the muddy streets between the barracks, across the unpaved squares with their corner vegetable gardens of rickety bean poles and yellow-green tops of carrots, past the depositories with their donated Chinese and Japanese and Korean wool, and wood stoves and sheets of alloys and unguarded medicines, past the chicken runs and goat pens, past central administration, a dusty cinder block building where the people stopped keeping records maybe a decade ago. Because why would you need to prove you've been born or changed in the barracks? Past the last of the communal wells, reaching the deep into a common and plentiful water table, Mamie walking until she reaches the rim, and is stopped and says what she has come to say. So this is Graham picturing all of this, like what's probably happening, what Mamie's probably doing out there in the world. She knows she's going out to the rim, but why? They come a few hours later, dressed in full sandy suits, armed with automatic weapons that don't look American-made. I see their faces through the clear, shatterproof plastic of their helmets. 3 of them stare frankly at my face, at Rachel's, at Hal Stevenson's hands. The 2 other won't look directly at any of us, as if viruses can be transmitted over gazes. They grab Tom McCabe from his chair at the kitchen table, pulling him up so hard he stumbles, and throw him against the wall. They are gentler with Rachel and Hal. One of them stares curiously at Jenny, frozen on the opposite side of the table. They don't let McCabe make any of the passionate explanations he had been trying to make to me. When he tries, the leader hits him across the face. So Mamie basically went and told him what McCabe was doing. He was going to wait in there to see what happened with the cure, but she squealed on him because of all this, because of the way he treated her and treated the people inside. Right now, was she protecting her? Was she protecting people? Was she just jealous? It's hard to say. Because she knew what happened to her husband. Remember, it seems easy to say she was jealous, but her husband was killed by this kind of thing. Rachel throws herself at the man. She wraps her strong young arms and legs around him from behind, screaming, "Stop it, stop it." The man shrugs her off like a fly. A second soldier pushes her into a chair. When he looks at her face, he shudders. Rachel goes on yelling, sound without words. Jenny doesn't even scream. She dives across the table and clings to McCabe's shoulder. Whatever is on her face is hidden by the fall of her yellow hair. "Shut you doctors down once and for all," the leader yells over Rachel's noise. The words come through his helmet as clearly as if he weren't wearing one. "Think you can just go on coming inside and outside and diseasing us all?" The leader says and shoots him. McCabe slumps against the wall. Jenny grabs him, desperately trying to haul him upright. The soldier fires again. The bullet hits Jenny's wrist, shattering the bone. A third shot, McCabe slides to the floor. The soldiers leave. There is little blood, only 2 small holes where the bullet went in and stayed in. We didn't know inside that they have guns like that now. We didn't know bullets could do that. We didn't know. "You did it," Rachel says. "I did it for you," Mamie says. "I did." They stand across the kitchen from each other, Mamie pinned against the door she just closed behind her when she finally came home. Rachel standing in front of the wall where Tom died. Jenny lies sedated at the bedroom. Hal Stevenson, his young face anguished because he had been useless against 5 armed shoulders, had run for the doctor who lives in the barracks. I had been found sitting at the leg of a goat. You did it, you. Her voice is dull, heavy. Scream, I want to say, Rachel. Scream. I did it so you would be safe. You did it so I would be trapped inside, like you. You never thought it was a trap, Mamie cries. You were the one who was happy here. And you never will be. Never. Not here or anyplace else. I closed my eyes not to see the terrible maturity on Rachel's face. The next moment, she's a child again, pushing past me to the bedroom with a furious sob, slamming the door behind her. So, look at this burst of emotion. Now, Mamie says, you were happy here. It was fine. Why do you, what does it bother you? But the flip side of it is, now, Rachel's actually showing some of the things that she never showed before. So, is it the disease, or is it the where they live and the mindset of that we're kind of trapped here, which, again, can relate to what we've been talking about with the where we are now. Think of all the stuff that you're not doing on a day-to-day basis that you would be if you went outside. Maybe you're not shaving every day, but you normally do. Maybe you don't shower every morning like you normally did because you're well, why bother? You wake up and it's already 11 o'clock. You're well, I can stretch this out another day, right? Little things like that maybe if you were training for a season or this or that, then you say to yourself, well, I can't go to the gym, so maybe I'll just wait, or maybe I'll just put it off a day, or maybe I won't go out and run. Maybe I'll just sit here. And then how many days go by where you don't even know it's a different day, right? That it's kind of what it is. And maybe they just fell into that trap because that's what they were born into. Imagine if this lasted years and people were born into it, raised into it. There would be no interaction. There would be no push to do all this stuff that you guys are used to. Mamie has. Rachel doesn't. But then this is ironic. Look at her sudden burst of emotion out of nowhere. Maybe it isn't the disease. Maybe it's just the situation. And it's kind of put her in that place. I face Mamie. Why? But she doesn't answer. And I see that it doesn't matter. I wouldn't have believed her anyway. Her mind is not her own. It's depressed, ill. I have to believe that now. She's my daughter, and her mind has been affected by the ugly ropes of skin that disfigured her. She is the victim of disease, and nothing she says can change anything at all. So that's getting the depression. Here she brings it up, and she says she is depressed. She is affected by the disease, but there's 2 ways that could be true. You could be affected by depressed because part of the disease is becoming depressed. That's it causes it, or it's a mental neurotransmitter, melatonin kind of thing, or it's you're sick, so you're sad. It's hard to know. It's almost morning. Rachel stands in the narrow aisle between the bed and the wall, folding clothes. The bedspread still bears the imprint of Jenny's sleeping shape. Jenny herself was carried by Hal Stevenson to her own barracks, where she wanted to see Mamie when she wakes up. On the crude shelf beside Rachel, the oil lamp burns, throwing shadows on a newly holed wall that smells of termite exterminator. She has few enough clothes to pack: a pair of blue tights, old and clumsily adorned sweater with pulled threads, 2 more of the pairs of socks, her other skirt, the one she wore to the block dance. Everything else she already has on. Rachel, I say, she doesn't answer, but I see what silence costs her. Even such a small defiance, even now, she is going. Using McCabe's contacts to go outside, leaving to find the underground medical research of it. If they have developed the next stage of the cure, the one for people already disfigured, she will take it. Perhaps even if they have not. And as she goes, she will contaminate as much as she can with her disease. Depressive and non-aggressive, communicable. She's going to bring the disease out there, even though she doesn't have the cure for the physical aspects. She thinks she has to go. Because of Jenny, because of Mamie, because of McCabe. She is 16 years old, and she believes, even to the inside, she believes that she must do something, even if the wrong thing. For the wrong thing she has decided is better to do than nothing. So this is her going against that idea about who she is and what it's all about. She's fighting that theory about what she was and what she's supposed to be. She has no real idea of the outside. She's never watched television, never stood in the bread line, never seen a crack den or a slasher movie. She cannot define napalm or political torture. What's wrong with that? You went poopy? Okay, you didn't go get your diaper changed? Now you just want to jump on your trampoline while you have poop in your diaper?
I think she has to go.
You have to go poopy?
You want to try to go potty?
Yeah, why don't you try to go?
Come on, let's go potty.
You try to go, Em. If you go, I'll tell my students that you went. They'll be very happy to know.
Yeah, let's go potty. Yeah, let's go potty.
To her, Mamie, with her confusion and self-justifying fear, represents the height of cruelty and betrayal. Peter, with his shambling, embarrassed lewdness, the epitome of danger. The theft of a chicken, the last world in criminality. She's never heard of Auschwitz, or Common or the Inquisition, or gladiatorial games, or Nat Turner, or Pol Pot, Stalingrad, Ted Bundy, Hiroshima, My Lai, Wounded Knee, Bobby Yar, Bloody Sunday, Dresden, or Dachau. Raised with a kind of mental inertia, she knows nothing of the savage inertia of destruction, that once set in motion as a civilization is hard to stop as a disease. So look at those two different things. We see the word inertia pop back up. Now, this has been said many times, and McCabe used that word. There's a mental inertia, which is what they're kind of faced with inside, but knows nothing of the savage inertia of destruction, right? Like, there's that idea of like once something is moving, like, well, destruction, like once it gets going, and it's hard to stop it, and that's kind of where they find themselves. I don't think she can find the underground researchers, no matter how much McCabe has told her. I don't think her passage outside will spread enough infection to make any difference at all. I don't think that it's possible that she can get very far before she's picked up and either returned inside or killed. She cannot change the world. It's too old, it's too entrenched, it's too vicious, too there. She will fail. There's no force stronger than destructive inertia. There's nothing she can do to stop this. It's like a boulder rolling down a hill and one person holding their arms up to stop it. I get my things ready to go with her. Despite knowing the savage inertia of destruction, Graham's gonna go with her. Well, why? Why is Graham going with her? There's a poem by the guy that wrote Red Badge of Courage, which I think some of you guys might have read at some point, where it's like a really short kind of like narrative thing where this guy he sees, like, I saw the man running around and around in circles, and I accosted the man and I said, "Why are you running?" And he said, "I'm chasing the sunset." And I started to see, like, I'm chasing the horizon. He says, "You'll never reach it." And then before I could even finish saying what I was going to say, the man shouted, "You lie," and ran on. And I always like that poem. I have it in my classroom, and I have it in one in my son's room too, because it's like there's almost no chance that you can accomplish certain things, yet that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to accomplish those things to the best of your ability. And inertia is basically like, well, I'm not even going to start, because all it would take to get going into that venture would be too much energy. Why would I even bother, right? People don't lose weight because they figure, well, I have to start going to the gym. If you've been going to the gym for your whole life, then it's easy. But if you haven't gone to the gym in 3 years, it's hard to go to the gym the first time. It's hard to go outside and run. It's hard to say no to the extra slice of pizza, It's hard. If people that drop out of school that want to go back to college, it's easy for you guys to go to college next year because you're still in that pattern. Everyone's your age. It's hard for a 34-year-old to go to college. Inertia, like, to get it going would cost so much. So you just kind of follow the path you're on. Despite all that, she goes, which is the greatest counter to what McCabe said. McCabe would have never predicted that. McCabe would have said she never would have gone. But who she was when she was younger was a person who was full of energy and fire, like all that. So by doing that act of defiance and pushing forward, she's actually kind of going against what the disease would even do, or to the rest of the world. But she's going to try because she wants the inertia rule. Same thing for you guys. When you can keep pushing, keep trying to do the most you can, even if it's a situation where there's not much you want to do. All right, guys, that's it for me. Make sure you do the paragraph, get that handed in. Other information you guys might need, just be wary, like mindful of it. Work on your projects, your creative stories. There's a lot of things that go to that and what you need to all get done. And remember, work together. You're a team now. All the people in your group. Don't let the rest of your group down because you don't want to get work done. But this is the last real big thing that we got going. So, do your best to get it done in the right way. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'll see you guys some point in the near future.